legal economic system of Islam. It is controlled and internally managed capitalism. Private ownership is allowed. You can have a shop, you can have a factory, you can have a farm. In a limited sense, it is your property, but it is actually its divine trust with you, sacred trust. With this principle, all those things of capitalism come there to play, which was not there in communism. Personal ownership, personal incentive, competition, try to improve your product. You have to compete in the market. Try to lessen the price. You have to compete in the market. All these cardinal principles of capitalism, by virtue of which capitalism triumphed and succeeded, and Fukuyama boasted, this is the end of history. It is proved that this system of ours, based on liberal democracy and capitalistic economy, is the best. There is no rival. Man has reached the pinnacle, the climax. There is nothing else who can come and confront our system. But Islam has done two master strokes by which capital will play a role in the economy, but it will not go beyond certain limits to become an overall controller of the economy. Chaining this genie of capital. H.G. Wells has mentioned in his part in the short history of the world on Roman Empire that the concept of currency came only in the Roman Empire for the first time. And man didn't know what type of, chains he has attached it to himself and bound by those chains through this currency. Before that, it was all barter system. One is working in the field, he has grown wheat. Other one is sitting, and weaving cloth. You exchange the cloth for the wheat, that's all. There can be no hoarding. There can be no manipulating of the market. Nothing. Simple. But when currency came, this much of gold is equal to so many mounds, kilograms, 1,000 kilograms of wheat. This much. Or this much gold is equal to 1,000 yards of this cloth. Now this is the key. You keep that gold in your, and then you can manipulate. Prices going high, prices coming low. So Islam has changed this genie of capital so that it should come in the field and play its role, but not overshadow the whole of economy. Number one, no interest whatsoever. Earning has three elements: labor, capital, and then chance also. The same amount of labor and capital earns some amount of profit at one time, and the same amount of labor and capital may earn different amount at different time. But in principle, capital earning capital, haram. Except a few cases I will let you know. Basic proposition is capital with labor This is the rightful earning. Only capital being an earning agent. This is interest, this is usury, both declared haram. It was haram according to Judaic law also, as far as I know. And it is haram in the Sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now the exceptions are only if you build a house, you can rent it out. Here also you are not working, but you are earning due to your capital. But this capital is fixed. If you give 10 million pounds or dollars to a person who is working, maybe he earns and it becomes 15 millions. Maybe he loses and he has now only 8 million with him. So that is different and this is different. Here it is a stationary, solid form of capital. It is not going to increase or decrease that way. Because you have lived here for 1 month, you have to give some reward for that. This is permissible. Ijara. In the same way, if somebody has some capital, some money, but he cannot do any business himself, either he is sick or ill or old, or he doesn't have that faculty, he gives this money to anybody. You do the business. This is called muzarabah in Islam. But in this proposition, if there is a loss, it will be borne by the man who possesses the capital, not by the worker. If there is some gain, then it can be shared. The risk is to the capital, not to the labor. Another form could be, and that is the normal form, you join together and you pool your money, your capital, and you are doing business, okay. But you give your money to someone, he is working, and you say, I don't know whether you gain or you lose. I must get the pound of my flesh, I have to get it, the pound of the flesh. I have to have 10%, 15%, 16%. That is my right. You might have lost, you might have gained. There are other means also by which Islam has chained this capital, this genie of capital. There should be investment, there should be working with the capital, but not on interest. And interest of both types, usury as well as business and commercial interest, yes. Number 2, gambling, forbidden. Here you earn or lose only due to chance. No. Earn by labor. And this thing now, as you know, has become the greatest thing in the whole world. Speculation, taking the market up and drowning it to the bottom. The capitalist can play due to this speculation. Then there can be no trading. Either cash, give the price, take the material. Or if it is for future, you have to pay the total value in the first instance. By salam it is called. If you have made an agreement that in next wheat season, you will provide me 1,000 mounds or 1,000 kilograms of wheat at this rate. Now calculate the total value and give the total value now. Then only you are entitled to get those 1,000 kilograms of wheat at that time. Not after paying 10% or 5% or 10%, and then, the deal is done. No. By this, I will again use the word master stroke. Over trading is stopped. You do the trading within your limits, whatever capital you have. Over trading. The capital going far out. So these are some of the measures. The most important, riba. There is nothing more haram and more forbidden and more disliked in Islam than interest. Allah says, if you don't give it up, then listen, there is an ultimatum from Allah and His Messenger against you. Allah will go to war against you. In the belief, shirk, to assign some partner to Allah. And in actions, this riba, interest, the worst things, according to the Islamic Sharia. Now, what is the internal management? Institution of zakah. And here is a fixed line. If you own 7 tolas, I think it will become 3 or 4 ounces. If somebody can correct me. You are above this line. This poverty line, had been fixed. 52 tolas of silver, 7 tolas of gold. If you have, you are a donor. If you don't have, you are a recipient. This zakah is to be taken from you legally, forcibly. And the first caliph of Islam, Abu Bakr, fought against those people who refused to pay this zakah. That is one of the pillars of Islam. I talked about the pillars of Islam yesterday. The Shahada, the 5 prayers, the zakah, obligatory charity, and the Sawm, fasting, and Hajj. This is one of the pillars. Although he was advised, don't declare war against them. We are going to war against those people who have claimed the false prophets, who have stood up and we are also prophets. And also, the war started with the Romans. So don't open a third front. He said, no, I have to do it. So this zakah, تُؤْخَذُ مِنْ أَغْنِيَائِهِمْ وَتُرَدُّ إِلَىٰ فُقَرَائِهِمْ. It is taken, extracted out of the rich. And the rich are those who are above this line. And they are returned and given to those who are poor. But the poor is not the one who has nothing to eat, but the one who doesn't have 52 tolas of silver and 7 tolas of gold. In this way, because there is free competition, and in free competition, necessarily there will be people who will go forward and some will remain backward. Free competition. So now who have remained backward, they have to be taken care of by those who have gone ahead. This is the internal management. But the beauty of this Islamic system is that the moral teaching is, don't accept zakah. Work. It's against your dignity. Not like, the right. We have the right to have this social security. It's our right. We have to have it. No. The moral teaching is, earn for yourself. Don't live on this charity. So there goes to be a very big difference between the two. I request to add one point to the political structure, which I forgot. It's not one party system in Islam, multiple party system. But the manifestos of all the parties will be screened that none of the manifestos contains anything against the injunctions of the Quran and the Sunnah. But there can be different parties, they can have different outlooks on taxation, they can have different outlook on the provincial authority and the central authority, and they can have these things. Whichever is permissible and mubah, not haram, not proved to be forbidden, they can include. But it has to be screened. Or somebody can go to the court, just like, if a piece of legislation has been passed by the legislature, I have the right to go and knock the door of the higher judiciary that this is against Islam, this is against the Quran and the Sunnah, in the same way.
Israr Ahmed has almost barely, very barely and schematically stated the essentials